Hey everyone! In this video today, I want to show you guys how to make this really awesome chevron pattern that I am making special for non-binary pride this month. This is a really awesome sort of twist on a typical chevron pattern. You have this sort of cool arrow thing breaking up the chevrons, but you'll also notice that the arrow section is utilized with every color on the bracelet. So it almost feels a bit more like an illusion, or just kind of makes you look at it a little bit longer than if you had it repeating the exact same every single row. But the arrows actually can be modified along this bracelet pretty easily, but we'll get into that towards the end of the video. So if you want to learn how to make this super awesome bracelet, then keep on watching. So for this bracelet, we are using black as our sort of bordering color throughout the whole bracelet. If you want to use a different pride color palette, or if you want to use any colors you want, you could just have another color, but this is going to act as your bordering color. So keeping it neutral might be in your best interest, but feel free to do whatever you want. And then of course, for non-binary pride, we have purple, yellow, and white. And while I will always love DMC, my second favorite affordable option is Sullivan's thread. I highly recommend buying this, especially if you're in the US. I got it from My Notions. I will put the website in the top right corner. They have their own sort of color code on here, but then if you flip it over, you can compare it to DMC colors, and in my opinion, I think they get it pretty spot on. So this is a great alternative to DMC. If you can't really afford DMC, My Notions sells this skein for 44 cents, but so much of the time, it's on sale for 25. It's not only great quality, but it's super affordable. And as you can see at the top of this bracelet here, I made a continuous teardrop loop, which is a tutorial on YouTube made by Pattern and Craft. I will have that linked in the top right corner. It's a really awesome teardrop loop because it just adds such a nice cleanness to it. But if you want to do a regular teardrop loop, by all means go for it. You don't have to make a loop. You can just kind of have ties on both ends and work up the pattern. But I will say having these sort of starts is really nice because it'll kind of keep your strings in order, and it'll make your first few rows just so much less confusing and kind of helps make it really clean at the top too. But like I said, completely optional. That is for your own decision to make. So regardless of whether or not you want to have a loop at the top, you want to order your strings from the outside to the center. Purple, black, white, black, yellow, black. Because as you can see, we have a sort of imaginary center line right here, and it mirrors off of each other. If you're following along on Bracelet Book as well, I'm starting at about row 7, just to make that easier. So this pattern is mainly chevron work with this little bit of extra arrow bit. And at the end, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this pattern because there are some things you'll want to keep in mind when you're moving forward. So, like a typical chevron, we're going to bring our outermost left and right strands to the middle and then connect them. So on the left side, you'll take your outermost left strand, and we are going to do forward knots across the next 5 strings to the right of it. And then we're going to move over to the right side. We'll pick up our outermost right strand here. And this time we are going to do 5 backward knots across the next 5 strings to the left of it to bring it to the middle. And then to close up the chevron, you'll want to take your middle 2 strands and make a knot. I am doing a forward knot here, but because they're the same color, you can make whichever knot you want. And next we are going to do another chevron row. So on the left side, you'll take your black strand and you will again do forward knots across the next 5 strings to the right of it to bring it to the middle. And then we're going to move over to the right side, take our outermost right strand, and this time we will do backward knots across the next 5 strings to the left of it to bring it to the center. And just like before, to close up this chevron, you'll take your middle 2 strands and do a forward knot. And now this is the row where we are kind of doing our sort of arrow row, like you can see up here. And you can also see that this is a yellow strand, but we have white strands on our outermost left and right side. And if you stay tuned till the end, I'll explain that just a little bit more. Like I mentioned before, this pattern has a very interesting structure, but I want to leave it towards the end in case you don't need that clarification. So starting on the left side, we're going to take our outermost left strand and we are going to do forward knots onto the next 2 strands only to the right of it. And then we are coming up on a black strand here, and if you're watching the video again, no matter what color you have here, you'll always run into your black strand. So we're going to take this black strand and we're going to do a backward knot onto the strand to the left of it. And then we are going to finish off the chevron by doing yet again forward knots onto the next 2 strands to the right of it. So the right side is going to be the same idea, except we're mirroring it. So we'll take our outermost right strand and do backward knots onto the next 2 strands to the left of it. And then after that, we've come up to a black strand here. So we're going to take this black strand and we're going to do a forward knot onto the strand to the right of it. Then again, we'll finish off the row by doing backward knots onto the next 2 strands to the left of it. And just like before, we want to close up this gap to finish off the chevron row. So you'll take your middle 2 strands and tie a knot with them. And again, I'm just doing a forward knot here. And to finish off the pattern specifically for this tutorial, we're going to do one more row of a chevron. So we'll come back to our outermost left strand and we will do forward knots across the next 5 strings to the right of it to bring it to the middle. Now we're going to take our outermost right strand And this time we're going to do backward knots across the next 5 strings to the left of it, which will bring it to the middle. And just like before, we're going to take our middle 2 strands and connect them with a forward knot. And that is how you make this pattern. So if you can see farther up the bracelet, we did purple, black chevrons, white arrow, black chevron. And that is how the formula goes for the whole bracelet. So you can see when we are knotting with our yellow color, we're going to be making a chevron because up here we had an arrow. So if you can kind of visually parse this a little bit easier, the black is sort of our like primary bordering color, and it kind of helps break up the colors a bit. So we have a chevron for one color, the next one is the arrow, chevron, arrow, chevron, arrow. And working it up with that in mind kind of helps make the pattern a bit easier to work up. I wouldn't say that this is a super advanced chevron pattern by any means, but it can get a little bit tricky and easy to forget that you have this sort of formula that you're working up. Alternatively though, if you really like how these arrows look, you actually can modify this pattern and make arrows for every single colored strand row. So instead of having it being every other, you could just do it the whole way down. But if we're just following along the pattern as it was intended to be on Bracelet Book, this is how you would follow it. And hopefully that isn't too confusing to follow. But honestly, I think I like this one a little bit more than the asexual pattern I did earlier this month. I don't know what it is about this one, but it just looks so cool, and you can make so many cool color schemes with this pattern and make it just look so awesome. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video today. Be sure to check out all of my other Pride videos that I have out this month. And then after this one, I can't believe it already, I only have one more video left. So be on the lookout for that. Again, thank you all so much for taking the time to click on this video and watch and follow along, or even just have it in the background, however you view it. I hope you all have a wonderful time knotting, and I will see you in the next one.